Welcome back to the DK Custom Products channel. I'm sitting here with Gunnar, and he is, what is your title at?
Right now, I am the HardDrive brand manager.
HardDrive brand manager.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, you were?
I was the segment director for V-Twin.
For V-Twin.
Yeah.
And HardDrive is also known as Western Power Sports.
Yes, it is the Harley specific or V-Twin specific division of Western Power Sports.
Okay.
When I started in 2013, it was about this big, and it was full of a bunch of crossover metrics type stuff.
So this is all Harley V-Twin, or does it have
there
Indian
is
stuff
a
in
section back here for Indian and Victory.
Okay, but the vast majority of it's for Harley.
The vast majority of it is Harley, yes.
And now you're the brand manager.
Yes.
But prior to that, you actually chose what you wanted to be in the catalog, what you wanted Western Power Sports HardDrive to carry and sell.
Absolutely.
To Harley dealerships and to indie shops.
Yes, exactly.
So the biggest question is, from my perspective at DK, is what did you want to see in a product that would make you want to have it in the catalog? What did you see in a product that go, oh no, that's not worth putting in the catalog?
So it's all about finding products that cover current trends or that are service and repair related. And most of all, this catalog is never complete. There are always gaps to fill. And I look for products that cover trends and fill gaps in this catalog. And I still do that to this day, even as brand manager. I go to shows, I travel the country visiting dealerships, and some indie shops also make parts. And I look to see if there's anything out there that would be a fit for what we're trying to do here.
So the overriding element that you look for is, do you think something will sell? I mean, that has to be.
Has to be, yes. There are categories in the catalog. There are catalog parts that are service and repair. That's the shop's bread and butter. That's our bread and butter. But we also need products that grab attention, that are cool, that people want. And you might not have as much of a margin in those products, but they get people to take this book and look what's in it. And when they see those products, they also see our oil filters, our oil, and our service and repair items.
I know there's a lot of other companies out there making parts for Harleys. We try and make parts for Harleys that will help people either ride more comfortably, help the bike handle better, help the bike perform better. We look at very specific things that we want the parts to do. And I don't know if I've told you before, but we don't put any parts on our website that we don't run on our own bikes.
Yep.
So a lot of companies just make this part or that part. We come up with an idea of something we'd like on our bike. We then maybe prototype it, test it, and we do a lot of testing on it. And then if it's a part that we're going to leave on our bike after testing it, then that's a part that we may add to our catalog of parts that we make available to the public.
Yeah. And
so when looking at a new realm for us, which is being in the HardDrive catalog and selling to other distributors and dealers, what is it that you look at in some of our parts that makes you want them to be in the catalog?
What I noticed from the beginning is that what you sell is always complete. For instance, your tank lift kits. We've had other tank lift kits from other companies in the catalog. The problem was, it was just the piece that lifted the tank up. When I see your kits, they're complete, they're comprehensive, they have everything, there's no guesswork. They come with hardware, with down to the hose clamps and the longer piece of hose. And it makes for a quick and easy install because you don't have to run around searching for parts because it's all there. Same with the coil relocation kits. They're impressive because they come with everything down to the zip ties. And that's what sets your product apart from many others that I see out there.
And of course, we operated for 12, 13 years without ever even thinking about being in the HardDrive catalog or any other catalog. The reason we do that is we want a person to be able to order something, And we spend hours and hours on our instructions that are
Yes.
with every part because we want people to be able to get the part, have everything they need. Now, we don't include the tools and we don't
No.
include thread locker.
Yeah.
And I know some companies, you can buy a part. I think Arlen Ness, they even include a little bit of thread locker.
Thread locker, but
So we don't include the thread locker, we don't include the tools, but we try and include everything else, including instructions that they can look at. And every question that someone might have, we've hopefully already answered it in the instructions. So we did all of that with the consumer in mind, having no thought that we'd ever be in a catalog. But from you choosing what goes in a catalog, that's a factor.
absolutely, yes, absolutely.
So in your catalog, do you have parts for any of the electric Harleys yet?
Nope, not a single one.
What about the Pan America?
We do have exhaust for the Pan America, but that's pretty much the only product at the moment.
And what about the Sportster S?
An exhaust and a license plate relocation.
And that's it.
That's
And
it.
do you find that there's not many people making parts for those bikes yet? Or
Not yet, because your typical company that makes products for Harleys is just as new to the adventure bike market as most Harley riders are. And the accessories are very different. You won't find chrome doodads or most of the things that adventure bike riders seek are functional, not cosmetic.
is anybody making holsters for firearms?
Ram Mounts has one. There's a company called Black Rack. I don't know if you want to put that in. They have holsters for inside the saddlebag and mounts and things like that.
We've been experimenting for a couple of years using our 3D printer to do different quick release holsters that are easily accessible, but are going to stay where they need to stay when you're going down the road. Yeah. So we're constantly looking for ways to make our bikes either run stronger, run more reliably, run cooler, be more comfortable, handle better. And we do that for Sportsters, Dynas, Softails, M8 Softails, baggers, trikes. And we considered doing it for the V-Rod, but we just weren't sure it was going to be around, and we're glad we didn't spend any time there. I came this close to getting a street because I thought that bike might take off and be something, and it didn't go anywhere.
No.
So now we're in the same position with the Pan America and the Sportster S. Do we get one, and do we start looking at ways to make it better, or is it going to go the way of the street and the V-Rod? And those are the questions that we're having right now. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the V-Rod's biggest downfall, I worked at Harley when the V-Rod came out. And the first time I rode one, this was in Germany, I got on the Autobahn and I accelerated and I thought, finally a Harley with power from the factory. And then I took the off-ramp, scraped the living out of the pegs, and I thought, I was disappointed. That motor did not belong in a chassis with that kind of a wheelbase. With the V-Rod that was raised up, I forget what it was called, it was a little bit better, but it was still too much of a cruiser. The Sportster S, I haven't ridden one, but I hear that motor makes a ton of power. The question is, do they have ground clearance? I keep seeing Harley putting forward controls on motorcycles that they have or that they market as a sport touring bike. And I have mid controls. Some people put highway bars on there when they want to stretch out, but I think the main controls should be in the middle, because if you want a faster, sportier ride, you need the mid controls for more control. And I think Harley's missing the boat on that, and that's an opportunity for people like you to make that improvement, because we know every Harley that gets put on the market has room for improvement somewhere.
So we know that the current Sportsters, you can have forward pegs or mid pegs.
Yep.
But the Sportster S is...
I've seen ones that have forward controls and ones that are like mid-forward, they're in between, but nowhere have I seen one that has true mid controls like they used to be on Sportsters and Dynas.
And see, if we got our hands on one, I'm sure that we could make those. But
Yes.
the question is there going to be enough of them out there to be worth it for us to spend?
That's a question that
time?
my crystal ball answers as well as yours does.
Uh-huh.
So that's a wait and see.
Uh-huh.
The next thing about the Sportster S is that feet forward and hands forward. You're literally folded like a half open pocket knife. And that's not a comfortable riding position. And if there are no options to change that to a more upright sport touring riding position, that bike might not find as many customers as it should, or it has the potential to.
So when putting together the catalog, do you use the term Sportster, Dyna, Softail, Touring?
Yes.
And have you noticed some of the things on Harley's website back about 1.5 2 years ago? When you went to the Touring tab on the Harley website, you saw all the different baggers. Also under Touring was the Softail Heritage under Touring.
Yeah.
So that confused a lot
That's
of people. We
confusing,
had
yes.
customers who would buy a part that we have as for a touring bike, and they would buy it for their Heritage because Harley had it listed as a touring bike, and of course it didn't fit because it was a Softail, not a bagger. Then now their website has, I think they have electric bikes, and then they have adventure touring, which is what the Pan America's in, and then they have Grand American Touring, which is where their baggers are.
Yes.
And then they have cruisers. There's no Dynas. Well, of course, the Dyna is dead, but there's no Softails and there's no Sportsters on the Harley website.
Yeah.
You have a cruiser, you have a Great American Touring, you have a adventure touring, or you have an electric Harley.
I think the way they had it in the past, which was by model family, that was usually by frame or engine, that was the best way to do it. Changing for the sake of changing is never something that I would promote. But
so that's not how it is in the HardDrive catalog. Okay. You originally were working with HardDrive, putting together the catalog, help choosing what parts would be in there and all that. And now you're not working on that so much. You're working going out to the manufacturers and keeping your relationship with them like you are with us, and then out to the dealers to do what?
To educate, mostly to educate on. So we have outside sales reps that cover a certain territory, and they have this entire book with 24,000 SKUs, I think now.
Wow.
So a vendor like you with 50 to 70 SKUs kind of gets lost in 1,200, 1,300 pages. And so I just help lead the rep and the dealer to these new products.
So you work with the local HardDrive reps also, helping them
yes.
represent
Product
what's in the
education,
catalog to the
I
dealers.
present. So my typical dealer visit would be I go in there with the rep and I present the products, the selling points, what the dealer can make, why they should be stocking a certain part. And then after, let's say, the second or third dealer, I hand it over to the rep to see if he absorbed what I've been dishing out, to see if they can do it too. And if they need a little bit of correction here or there, then I'll do that. So basically a sales training.
So obviously, from my perspective, I want you to educate every dealer about all the DK products.
Yes.
And you are carrying, out of our 1,000 or so SKUs, you're carrying 50 to 70 of our SKUs currently. What, you obviously cannot talk to the dealer about all 24,000 SKUs.
No.
So what determines what you talk about with the dealer?
I ask a lot of questions. When I go into a franchise dealership, I know that they'll do mostly bolt-on accessories, maybe some customization. And depending on what region they are of the country, that's what the product I talk about. When I go into an independent shop, I ask, are you mainly service and repair? Are you custom? Do you do all of that? Do you concentrate on performance work? And that's how I pick what products.
What direction to go
what
in
direction to go,
to
yes.
serve the need that they're
Exactly.
trying to serve with their
Yes.
customers.
And I ask for feedback. Some areas, when you talk about a tank lift kit, they just shake their head and say, I haven't even been asked in the last year or so. And in some areas, it's popular. But that was from a cosmetic standpoint. Then I explained to them, I've been asked, why would you put a tank lift kit on a bagger? To get more airflow around the motor. Everybody complains that there's too hot. So even if it's not a popular modification for cosmetic reasons, it's still a practical modification.
Do you have the cooling deflector wings? Is that one of your items?
We don't, but I
Need
saw
to have
that today.
Need to have that.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it works hand in hand with
yeah,
the
exactly.
tank lift.
Yep.
So your life is on the road mostly, visiting dealers?
Right now, permanently, and in the future, it'll be a part-time on the road, part-time in the office.
Okay.
Probably week on, week off.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by here, and I hope you enjoyed the tour and
Yes.
saw maybe some items that you're going to try and get added into the catalog.
Yes, absolutely. I saw some neat stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And I know you haven't been here before. We met in Idaho, what, 2 years ago, year and a half ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago almost.
Yeah. And so, again, thanks for being here.
Yep, thanks for having me.
You all right safe out there?